Hi, I want to show you how to create an additive cycle. It's very simple, but if you are not clear about what you are doing, some weird stuff can appear. And it is not because the cycle is failing, but it is because the cycle is actually doing what you are asking it to do. Okay, I will show you what I mean with that. But anyway, I have my stairs here, and I want this character to walk down the stairs. This is the character. Okay, you can see it has two legs and target bones for the legs, and if I want I can rotate the foot, each foot here after frame 0. So okay, so I have this cycle here, and you can see the character is just moving down the stairs. Nothing too fancy happening here. And the thing is that this cycle is 1 second long, but if you continue checking the timeline, you can see how the character continues moving, and actually it will move forever. And you can see also that it's always matching the stairs. Okay, so that is the idea. We want to create a cycle here in which the character always is touching the stairs. Okay, an additive cycle. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I will just remove the animation here, and I will start on frame 1. Okay, so on frame 1 I'm going to freeze the pose here. So this basically creates keyframes for every bone, and I'm going to start putting one leg. I will move the body down, so one leg is going to be touching the ground of one of the steps. I want to be kind of precise here, so I'm going to zoom in. So let's say I want this border of the target bone to touch here and the other border to touch there. Okay, and for the other leg I'm going to just put it like this. Alright, so let's say this is what I want. This is my first step. Alright, now I'm going to go to frame 13. I want this cycle to have 1 second long, so that is 25 frames per second, or I mean 25 frames. So I'm going to frame 13 here, and in frame 13 I'm going to do the other step. So basically I will do a similar pose, but now with the other leg. So I will move this leg here, I will move the entire character down, and this leg here. This is not going to look good already, but it will just give me the base for this. And I want to be precise here, but for this part of the cycle it's not fully necessary to be absolutely precise, because this keyframe will be in the middle of the cycle, so it is not going to affect the additive cycle. I will show you why I'm saying that later, but let's say I'm happy with this. Alright, so I have the first step and the character is moving down, and you can see how the entire body is moving down, and I'm going to freeze this pose too. Alright, now to complete the cycle I need to move this leg to be down here. Okay, but what I'm going to do in order to make the additive cycle to work exactly as I want, I will select this keyframe and I will press Ctrl C here. I will copy all these keyframes, Ctrl C. I'm going to go to frame 25 and I will paste them, Ctrl V. And you can see the character is back 1 step. So if you look at this animation, it doesn't make sense. It goes down and then it goes back up. Okay? But I am doing this because I want to be sure that this pose, like all the angles and positions that are here, are exactly the same than on frame 1. Okay? So once I did that, I come back here to frame 25, and what I'm going to do is I will select all the bones with the select bone tool, and now I will select the transform bone tool, and I will select any bone from the dot at the top, and I will drag this. So I will drag it 1 step, 2 steps actually, because this is the second step. Alright, and since I want this to match with the step, I will zoom in and put it here, and I will try to be very precise. So I'm using the little circle of the target to try to put it to match this with the stairs. So now I have exactly the same pose, right? But now this pose is 2 steps down. Let me show you what is going on here. So you can see the character is walking 2 steps now. Alright, and now I can add a cycle for this. This is not going to work, it's not going to look great, but now I have my very basic cycle already working. So now I can select these last keyframes here, I can right click them, and I can select cycle here. Alright, and that will open the cycle, the keyframe window. If you look at the cycle right now, the cycle is just jumping back every time because it's not additive yet. But if I keep this selected and I click on additive, now you can see this curve is actually going down already, and you can see how the character is walking down now. Okay, not great, but the additive cycle is already working. And if I look at the feet here, let me just unselect the bones here so we can see it more clearly. You can see how the feet are always matching with the step. Alright, once I have this, now I can play with the actual position of the different bones. So with the transform bone tool, I can maybe check this bone is going down a little bit too much, so maybe it should go like this. So now the character follows a more straight line there. We could still work on that to make it better, but let's keep it like that. And now in a walk cycle we have the character around 1/3 of the cycle. We need the character to go down, so I will just move this bone down, and then in the second third, or around the second third, I will make it go up. So now I have the character doing this for the first step, and I will do the same for the second step. Okay, I could simplify this, I could create a cycle for this too, but I want to keep it simple, so I think the simplest way to do it is to repeat the process again here. So going down in the first third, maybe around here, and then going up. And you can see how the character is going up and down now. It's a bit exaggerated, but you can see how it starts to look as a walk cycle. Now I'm going to work on the passing position for this foot. So you can see that this foot is actually crossing the stairs. I don't want that to happen. So at this point, I'm going to move it up like that, and maybe at this point it will be like this. So it's coming to the step there. Boom. Alright, and I will do the same with the other leg. In this point it's coming up, maybe like that. And now it's coming up again. So the very important thing is that I can modify any of the keyframes in the middle of the cycle, but I won't modify any of the extremes, because if I modify the extremes, then I'm going to break the additive cycle, because the extremes are not going to be exactly the same anymore. So let's say that. And now finally, just to make this work better, like you can see that this foot is going up too early. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these two bones, the target and the foot, and maybe here in the middle I will copy this keyframe with Ctrl C, and I will paste it here in the middle. So what I'm saying, I'm doing here is that the foot is going to stay on its place until half of the step is done, and then it will go up. And I will do the same with the other step. So maybe here in the middle. Now I'm going to select these two bones of the other foot, select this keyframe, copy and paste. Alright, so now I have the character going down. Now, what is going on, or what could be happening with this, if this is not working for you, it is probably because you moved this extreme. So let's say if this extreme is not exactly the same as on frame 0, I'm going to exaggerate this, but let's say you put the leg but you put it around here, okay, for this step. So now this and this are not exactly the same, and what will happen with that, with the additive cycle, is that your leg is going to start going to the right. On every step it's going to be farther away to the right. So if you continue showing this animation, you can see how that leg is escaping from the rest of the body. Okay, because the software is calculating that. It says, okay, there is a difference between the first keyframe and the last keyframe, so I'm going to add that difference on every single step. That is what an additive cycle does. And actually that is why, if I go to, let me just undo this to keep my cycle working properly. But if I do something in a new file, for instance, if I go to bone and I create just this one bone, and I rotate this bone, maybe on frame 6 I'm going to rotate it to the left, and now I create an additive cycle for this. So I will go to cycle, additive, something like that. You can see that on every cycle it is adding to the rotation of this bone. So that is what allows me to generate this bone rotation happening forever and continue adding to the animation forever. Alright, so the same happens if I go back to the foot here. So let's say in the first keyframe, you know, this foot is totally horizontal, right? And in the last one it's also totally horizontal. So what I did with this is that there is no angle being added, because the difference between the first and the last one is 0, so there is nothing to add. But if I make the mistake and maybe I rotate this a little bit higher, I will exaggerate this. Let's say this is my mistake, I put this bone a bit higher. Now what is going to happen is that the software will contemplate that difference between this angle at the beginning and this angle at the end. So it will start adding all these degrees to the movement. So if I test this now, you will see that that leg will start going up on every step. And if I go further in the timeline, you can see how this is actually rotating. And if I go many frames beyond that, you can see that I can even rotate this in 360, because it will still rotate forever. Okay, but that is the thing. As a summary, just be sure that, actually let me just undo that, so the leg is fine now. Be sure that you create the first pose. Okay, once this is done, you copy this pose. Be sure to freeze the pose too, so that way you are sure that every bone has a keyframe here. So you select this keyframe, you copy it, and you paste it at the end of the work cycle. But then of course if I paste this here, it won't be in the exact position. So after that you change the position of the character, and you try to be precise there when you put the character. Okay, so when you do that, then the cycle is going to work. So that is the thing. It can be a bit weird, but I think once you understand how this works and why it is adding, or why things could be rotating in certain ways, it makes more sense and it is easier to control it. I hope this is useful. Thank you for watching. Bye.